Coming up, authorities investigate a stabbing in Dunwich, Missouri.
We're tracking showers and thunderstorms across the area. We'll have the latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we meet a woman walking across the country to raise awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
Box is missing. It's
just
been
come down
storming
with you.
this morning, so I've been kind of busy with that. And there it is. Hold on, everybody. Hold on. It's around here somewhere. It has to be. We've talked about this in the past, and now you get to see, really, truly. First off, either I'm extraordinarily short or Tanya's extraordinarily tall. Okay, there we go. All right.
It might be a little of both.
We're good. See, now it makes all the difference. Hey, so we're tracking some showers and thunderstorms across the area this morning. As you can see on the Skywatch Storm Tracker, we check it out too. Lightning has calmed down quite a bit since earlier this morning, but boy, was it going to town or what. So starting up here around the Joplin area, you can see these storms are starting to die down, which is a good thing. We also have heavy rain now in the Pineville area, McDonald, Newton County. These are flood warnings through 7:45 this morning because of all of the heavy rain that they are seeing down there. And even from last night's storms, check that out. Train Spotter reported a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust near mile marker 30 on I-49. So it is busy. It's not severe. Now we're going to back this up a little bit because we're also talking about, it's going to be raining on the road, so do be cautious. We're talking about power outages as well out there. So this is Liberty's map, and you can see all these little lightning bolt icons are where they are experiencing some power outages, and you can see they're better than what they were last night. In the Joplin area, we were talking upwards of 2,000 people without power on the east side of town. Evergy also reporting some power outages as well on their side, but again, thankfully, things have gotten just a little bit better across the area for most folks. If you are traveling today, I-49 definitely this morning, especially on the southern end, we got those thunderstorms to contend with. Same with Highway 69 on the southeast Kansas side. Now, the thing is as we go through the day, storms will build back in. So these storms will clear out, and then we're going to spend most of the day relatively cloudy, and then we have some chances of storms building in later. It's not going to be nearly as hot today as it has been, but these storms are on their way out. They'll move out. We'll get cloudy. It's not going to be nearly as hot as it has been in the last few days. And then it's going to start to storm again later today. We'll take a look at the complete forecast, a little more information that you need here in just a few minutes. But it's a busy morning. Again, no severe weather, which is the good thing. No severe storms this morning, but a lot of much needed rain. And as you saw, McDonald, Newton County, a little too much of that needed rain as they're dealing with flood warnings this morning.
We need to spread it out.
Yeah, and unfortunately, these storms like last night, they just kind of popped up and then they just sat there. Mm-hmm. They haven't really moved. And honestly, what we're seeing on the radar now is this isn't these storms necessarily moving out. They're just finally starting to die down right over where they have been. So.
Yeah, I was thankful I didn't leave my windows cracked in my car this morning.
No, that would have been a pretty bad idea.
A soggy mess.
Just a little bit. Mm-hmm. I don't know which is worse, though, letting rain in or letting snow in.
Ooh.
I've seen some photos where their cars get completely filled with snow. I don't know why you'd leave your windows open in the wintertime anyway, but to each their own.
Accidents happen.
That's true. That's true.
Very true. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a dump truck goes through a guardrail just before noon in Joplin. Authorities say the truck experienced a flat tire before veering through a guardrail, going down an embankment and crashing. The driver was unable to get out of the doors, so he climbed through the windshield. Just a short distance to the west, a crew from Liberty Electric was working and ran to the crash. The crew used up its extinguishers to help with the fire. Both Reddings Mill Fire and Joplin Fire responded to it. The driver refused transportation to the hospital. Authorities in Webb City responded just before 5 yesterday afternoon for reports of a car crashing into the side of a Burger King. Officials say the driver failed to stop, pulling into the parking spot. No one was injured in the crash. Authorities investigate a stabbing in Dunwich, Missouri. On Monday morning, Dunwich police officers responded just after 7 a.m. to the 600 block of Patterson. At last report, they say the male victim was at a hospital in surgery. Investigators are looking for a female person of interest. The police chief tells us the stabbing is an isolated incident. No arrests have been made. A Southwest Missouri man pleads guilty to abandonment of a corpse. Ray Freiling had faced other charges, including first-degree murder. Lawrence County detectives found someone had been using Coy Coyle's car and financial information. They traced the activity to Cole's former roommate, who told detectives that Freiling shot Cole in the stomach 3 years ago. Deputies searched Freiling's property in Verona and found a fresh burn pile with human remains. For a full breakdown of events, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Seraphine Warren is walking cross country to raise awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women. She walks for her aunt, who's been missing for over a year. Miami is just one of the many towns she will go through. With 1,032 miles already walked, Warren's end goal is Washington, D.C. She wants to talk about the problem of not only her aunts, but many others.
I want them to urgently hurry up and solve their cases, because I've seen a lot of other cases outside of the Navajo Nation or reservations being solved quickly, and this one should be one of them. And I am tired of waiting. I'm losing patience, and we shouldn't be treated like this.
Seraphine is hoping to make it to Washington, D.C. by the first week of October. If you want to help donate to her cause, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Well, bus drivers are wanted in the Carthage area. The district's 61 school buses are in need of bus drivers. It's a demanding position, as you're not only driving the bus, but you're also looking after several children. Carthage School District held a hiring fair earlier this summer and was able to gain some applicants for the positions. Jeff Fries, the director of transportation, hopes COVID is not going to make the staffing shortage even worse, because the buses need to function daily.
Any place of employment, people get sick, people get hurt, and we have to fulfill those routes. Like, the buses have to run, they have to pick up the students, so there's always a need for more drivers.
People who are interested in becoming a bus driver can find more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up in our 6 o'clock hour, we're going to have more on this story. Chanute schools are improving campus security throughout the county. School administrators decided to be proactive when it comes to student safety by improving camera systems, implementing a buzz-in entrance, and tightening up visitor policy. Assistant Superintendent Matt Custer said the school district is adapting with the times.
Yeah, so we really, in the history of our schools, we've never had locked doors or closed entrances. When we built and remodeled our new schools about 15 years ago, we created a situation where everybody had to enter through the office, and that was good enough for the time.
The new security measures will be ready for the upcoming school year by August 17th, and we'll have more on this story in our 7 o'clock hour.
All right, so recapping, we've got some showers and thunderstorms out there slowly starting to die down across the area. We're also watching flood warnings in McDonald and Newton County. We've got flood advisories in Delaware County, and we've got additional flood warnings up by the Stockton area as well. Right now, because we didn't get to cover this earlier, we got a lot to talk about. 7th and Range line, it's looking wet. It's looking stormy with some lightning off in the distance of these storms. 71 in the city of Joplin right now, so it's where we expected it to be. Everybody in the lower 70s as we, as soon as I changed that, there was a really good lightning flash. It's like it knows when it's on TV. Dew points are right where they should be as well. Now, as we go through the day, it's going to clear out by the noon hour, and then this evening, mostly on the Missouri side, we have some chances of some additional isolated storms. Highs only pushing to about 90 degrees, though. Unfortunately, the heat will return. We'll talk about tomorrow and more about what's going on this morning here a little bit later.
Well, you did mention, because of the rain and storms, we've got cooler temperatures today.
Yeah, that's the one other benefit, is we're A, getting some much needed rain, and B, it's bringing temperatures down across the area. So it's going to be nice, at least for today, but a little bit raining. Of course, the flood concerns in McDonald, Newton County for sure. So if you're out driving around, watch out, because it's very dark right now, and you may not see those flooded spots.
Turn around, don't drown.
Exactly.
All right, thanks, Chris. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, football season is around the corner, and we've got previews of teams right here, including PSU.
Plus, a Super Bowl ring is returned to a legendary player.
And we have healthy lunches for you to pack for your kids as school is almost here. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
It doesn't stop. Every time I open the mailbox, bill after bill after bill. It's worse than the injury. Where's my insurance company? Medical bills, this bill, that bill, everything bills. I pay one and then get 10 more. Why?
We'll take it from here. Johnson, Voorhees, Martucci.
Hey, this is Pastor Talent. Be sure and catch GN Bank at this year's Back to School event, Monday, August the 15th. Sign up required.
The same as usual can always be updated. Or should I say, chilled. It's more than a drink. It's a McDonald's drink. Get any size frozen drink for $1.89 or any size iced coffee for $2.59.
Well, yesterday was the opening day of high school football practice in Missouri. The Webb City Cardinals hit the field nice and early yesterday morning for their first practice of the year. Cardinals are the defending Class 5 champs in Missouri. After a 4-3 start last year, they reeled off 7 straight wins to claim their 16th state championship in program history. Now, they've got a talented group returning, but with Cole Vaden graduating, Webb City will have a new quarterback under center this fall.
Landon Johnson's probably maybe the guy that's probably going to be starting for us, and he's had a good summer. He's really stepped up as a senior, and really, he's a guy that everybody wants to play hard for. So that's really important, on the offensive side to have a guy like that. You got to be really smart because you got to learn our offense, and then physically you got to be able to do the things that we want you to be able to do. As far as when the ball snaps, you got about 2 seconds to make a read sometimes, and that just having the right guy at that position, means a lot.
In Carthage, the Tigers hit the field earlier yesterday evening for their opening practice. Now, Carthage had a big-time year in 2021, going undefeated in the regular season and finishing 10-1 overall. They lose a couple of important guys up front, and quarterback Caden Cambens, but Cooper Jadwin is ready to step into that QB role this fall and lead this team in his senior season.
Honestly, I feel pretty prepared. I've backed up Pat my sophomore year and then Caden last year. I think it was really good for me, honestly, to be able to back up those guys and just kind of build on that and learn from the stuff they did right, learn from the stuff they did wrong. I've grown up with these guys. I've played with these guys my whole life. I have confidence in them. I assume they have confidence in me, and I think it'll make for a great year, a great team.
Now at the college level, it's also opening day of camp for both Pittsburgh State and Missouri Southern. The Gorillas are coming off an 8-3 record in their first full MIAA season under head coach Brian Wright. This fall, PSU has 15 guys returning who started 4 or more games last season. The Gorilla defense was one of the best in the MIAA last year, leading the league in interceptions and allowing just 19 points per game. They're hoping to take another step forward this fall with plenty of talent and some nice chemistry on that side of the ball.
We preach brotherhood on this team every day. We want to be the closest team in the nation and have each other backs no matter where we are in life, and that's the goal.
We talked about that at the end of spring, that one of the keys to staying here all summer was forming those relationships and getting to know one another and leading each other and competing with one another in the weight room this summer. So that was a big part of the connection part that we wanted to improve upon in our football team.
The Missouri Southern Lions got on the field yesterday for their first practice of the season. The Lions are in a good spot right now. They finished with 3 wins last year in their first season under head coach Atiba Bradley, the most wins for the team since 2014. On the defensive side, they'll have a lot of new faces in the secondary, but it's a group that's young and hungry.
A lot of times last year I looked at our back end and they just weren't confident. This group that we've recruited, the talent that we have, the guys coming back, this is a very inexperienced but confident group. They're hungry, but it's not a group that's going to put their head down after they make a mistake. They're excited about the next rep so they can prove that they are elite, that they do belong in the top of the MIAA.
A Pittsburgh Little League baseball team is playing in the Midwest Regional Tournament in Indianapolis this week. Pittsburgh is 1-1 in the tournament, and so far, and it's looking to stay alive this afternoon against Fargo, North Dakota. Pittsburgh got off to a good start. Top of the first, who else but Gabe Brown. He's been so good all tournament long. Base hit here, scores a run. Pittsburgh scores 3 in the bottom of the first. To the third now. Brown back to work, another base hit. Landon Profit hustles around third and scores. The runner at third is thrown out, but the run still counts. It's 4-3 Pittsburgh. Fargo would retake the lead, but Hudson Harrett, trying to keep Pittsburgh in it, lines it to center to score a run. Unfortunately, though, Fargo holds on to the lead. Pittsburgh sees its season end, falling 10-6. Well, still to come, the U.S. sends another $1 billion to Ukraine, and we're going to take a look at the latest forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. All right, so we're still dealing with some power outages this morning. This is the Evergy map. A few people without power this morning in Pittsburgh, and still a few up in the Fort Scott area. Thankfully, these are getting fewer and fewer. Same on the Liberty side of things. You can see a few scattered outages, most of these only affecting 1 or 2 people, which is a good thing. So I need to change this, but we do have storm chances. Obviously this morning, they'll be clearing out. It's going to be cloudy through the majority of the day. And then later this evening, we've got more storm chances. And the nice thing is with all this we're getting today, it's not going to be nearly as hot, but the rain, or the heat rather, will return. So will the rain. All right, Skywatch Storm Tracker was really busy this morning. It's starting to calm down just a little bit. You can see showers and thunderstorms. They were really going here across Cherokee County, Jasper County, down in Newton County, and that's where we have flood warnings for Newton County and McDonald County. It run through 7:45 this morning, and flood advisories down in Delaware County, which you can see on this map. As a matter of fact, there was actually a storm report yesterday from the severe weather of a 60-mile-an-hour wind gust along I-49 in McDonald County. So 7th and range line. Still lighting up out there. Storms to the south of Joplin now, and in the city, still some light rain. 71 degrees otherwise, wet roads for sure. All of us in the 70s to start the day. And as we head through the day, we'll get a break in the rain, warming up to about 90 degrees, so not nearly as bad as it has been. And then we'll have some additional isolated thunderstorms as we head into the evening and even into the overnight hour. Most of these will be on the Missouri side. Might be some heavy rain again with some of these storms as they pop up, which is again why flooding is a bit of a concern. And the future track, quick look at it, will show you where some of those storms start to pop up, mostly along and south of I-44 as we progress through the evening hours. So still going to be wet this evening, a bit of a dry day, breaking this rain, and then it comes back, and then it starts to heat up again by tomorrow. Well, a member of the Kansas City Chiefs' 1969 Super Bowl team has his championship ring back thanks to the kindness of a stranger. Super Bowl IV champion Jim Carney realized the ring was missing after a session on a driving range. Jackson Kurtz was there the moment Carney was reunited with his beloved possession.
A special reunion for former Chief safety Jim Carney.
Bottle of wine and have a party. Yes, sir. I got my ring back.
Carney noticed his 1969 Super Bowl championship ring missing after a golf session at Shoal Creek Golf Course.
Piece of cake.
Carney says his finger was taped up, which may have caused the ring to slide off. But it was in the parking lot where Dylan Garcia stumbled upon the Chiefs' gold.
It looked like a Super Bowl ring. It says Super Bowl on it, but didn't know if it was real or fake or not.
Garcia held on to it until it was brought back to its legendary owner.
I'm glad he got it. I mean, I couldn't imagine losing something that valuable.
Carney says the ring represents all the hard work that went into winning the title.
When you look at this, you think, that must have been pretty doggone good.
And he says for Garcia to find it and make sure it was brought back safely goes to show there's plenty of good people out in the world.
It's a blessing from the good man above. Right here. We're gonna get it on camera. God bless you.
This isn't the first time Jim Carney lost his championship ring. In 2016, it fell off his hand at a car wash. Now, both times it was returned without a scratch. And that brings us to our something to talk about. Are you excited? Look at that football go. For football season to return. Yes or no? You can vote, KOAMNewsNow.com/vote. Do so in the app. You take part in discussion on the Facebook page. We're back with Health Watch right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, when it comes to packing school lunches, we can all get into a rut. If your child gets sick of the same sandwich every day, we've got you covered. Mandy Gaither has some healthy lunchtime ideas that are sure to get a smile.
It's important. Balanced meals help give kids the nutrients they need, and it doesn't have to be difficult.
We want to do it the night before. It's really great to get that child involved so they can spend some time and make a choice of what they want to put in their lunch.
Licensed dietitian Catherine Sherry says letting kids have a say about their lunches will help make them more likely to eat them.
We can use leftover chicken from the night before and turn that into a wrap or a sandwich for the child. A simple peanut butter and jelly is great, and add some veggies with it. And I love to put dips with veggies and fruits. Make that lunch a little bit fun.
Other ideas, pasta salad. Use leftover veggies in whole wheat pasta. Add some fruit and a couple of hard-boiled eggs for protein. Or try deconstructed tacos, ground turkey or beef, shredded cheese, tomatoes, lettuce, a mini guacamole cup, and some fruit.
They love to prepare their own meals. So you can make a homemade Lunchable and make it healthier and more filling than what you're going to get in the store.
A make-your-own Lunchable could include low-sodium turkey, cheese, whole wheat crackers, add some fruit and veggies, and a dip like nut or seed butter.
Something to make it a little different, so not every day is the same thing.
Believe it or not, Sherry says it's also important to pack a treat in your child's lunch, something they can look forward to and enjoy along with their meal. And that's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
All right, quick check of the radar. Skywatch storm tracker still busy this morning. We're actually seeing some additional development of some small storms across northern Jasper County and eastern Barton County. Those storms are all of this, a part of this whole deal this morning. They're all moving off slowly to the south and southeast. So this batch moving to the south, these newer developments moving to the southeast. McDonald and Newton County also dealing with flood warnings this morning due to all of this heavy rain that's just parked itself right over those counties. We'll have more on what's going on with the storms and what the rest of the day holds when the KOAM Morning News returns.
Coming up, authorities investigate a stabbing in Dunawig, Missouri.
We are tracking showers and thunderstorms this morning across the area. When will they clear out, and are more on the way? The latest from the Skywatch Weather Center.
And we meet a woman walking across the country to raise awareness for missing and murdered Indigenous women.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 5:31. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. It is a stormy start to the day. Now, these storms are calming down just a little bit since they began early this morning, but we still have them out there, as you can see on the Skywatch Storm Tracker. We'll take a quick tour up in eastern Barton County, southwestern Barton County, and northern Jasper. We've got a few little showers redeveloping up there. They're moving off to the southeast, and then everything around Joplin going into Newton and McDonald counties moving to the south. Still some lightning with these storms as well. And flood warnings for Newton and McDonald counties. Those run until 7:45 this morning, which you can see on this map. We've also got flood advisories for Delaware and parts of Benton County, and some flood warnings up by the Stockton Lake area. 7th and range line, still cloudy, still some lightning off in the distance, but the rain is letting up in the city. 71 degrees as we start the day, and most of us starting the day off pretty decently, especially those of us who have seen rain, lower 70s and mid 70s out in southeast Kansas. As we go through the day, it's going to be not as hot. Highs only pushing about 90 degrees. And then on the Missouri side, maybe some of extreme southeast Kansas, some redevelopment of some showers and storms later today, and those will stick with us overnight into the early morning hours tomorrow before they clear out. And once they do so, temperatures heading into Wednesday and through the rest of the week will really start to heat up. As you can see, highs start pushing right back up near 100 by the weekend.
All right. Well, enjoy it today, I guess, if you can safely get out. But
yeah,
if,
I mean,
if you got flooding situations.
Yeah,
then
you want to be careful with those flooding situations. And of course, when these storms first started this morning, there was a lot of electrical activity with them. And so there are some power outages out in the area. But the good news is I did a check. They're starting to dwindle. Crews are out there getting them taken care of. So
that's good.
That is a good thing. But in between, once this rain clears out later this morning, say 8, 9 o'clock, we'll have a break where it's just going to be cloudy today, and it's not going to be nearly as hot as it has been. So it's going to be a bit muggy because of all the moisture, but temperatures, again, only pushing about 90 degrees. So it's going to be nice compared to what we've seen.
All right, well, we'll keep an eye on that and enjoy the weather.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a Southwest Missouri man pleads guilty to abandonment of a corpse. Ray Freiling had faced a number of other charges, including first-degree murder. In 2019, Lawrence County detectives found someone had been using Coy Coyle's car and financial information. They traced the activity to Cole's former roommate, who then told detectives that Freiling shot Cole in the stomach. Now, deputies searched Freiling's property in Verona and found a fresh burn pile with human remains. For a full breakdown of events, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Authorities in Webb City responded just before 5 yesterday afternoon for reports of a car crashing into the side of a Burger King. Officials say the driver failed to stop, pulling into a parking spot. No one was injured in the crash. And authorities are investigating a stabbing in Dunwich, Missouri. On Monday morning, Dunwich police officers responded just after 7 a.m. to the 600 block of Patterson. Last report, they say the male victim was at a hospital in surgery. Investigators are looking for a female person of interest. The police chief tells us the stabbing is an isolated incident. No arrests have been made. A dump truck goes through a guardrail just before noon in Joplin. Authorities say the truck experienced a flat tire before veering through a guardrail and slamming down an embankment and crashing. The driver was unable to get out of the door, so he climbed through the windshield. Just a short distance to the west, a crew from Liberty Electric was working and ran to the crash. The crew used up its extinguishers to help with the fire. Both Reddings Mill Fire and Joplin Fire responded. The driver refused transportation to the hospital. Many Indigenous women go missing every year. One woman decided to take a walk to raise awareness. KOAM's Carrie Worthen spoke to her.
She's doing something that is so important, and that is taking the efforts that she knows how to do to draw attention to a very serious problem.
Walking from Sweetwater, Arizona to Washington, D.C., Seraphine Warren is walking for a cause.
I am walking for the missing and murdered Indigenous.
Miami was just one of many towns she will walk through.
I think it's an eye-opener. I think this is something that causes a conversation. Sometimes this is what it takes.
Warren hopes to raise awareness for not only her aunt, but many other missing and murdered Indigenous women.
I want them to urgently hurry up and solve their cases, because I've seen a lot of other cases outside of the Navajo Nation or reservations being solved quickly, and this one should be one of them. And I am tired of waiting. I'm losing patience, and we shouldn't be treated like this. This part is hoping that every day somebody lets me know they found my aunt. I think that's the hardest, is just to think, could this be the first day? We don't have to search no more.
So far, Seraphine has walked 1,022 miles.
If you're a native tribal government official, step up. There's only been a couple of us that have gone with her and talked to her and supported her, and it would be nice if more of us rallied around her and got her the support she needs.
In Miami, Carrie Worthen, KOAM News.
Seraphine is hoping to make it to Washington, D.C. by the first week of October. If you want to help donate to her cause, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com.
All right, we are tracking thunderstorms across the area. Let's check in on some of those flood warnings. So again, in McDonald and Newton County, this is an aerial flood warning for Newton County until 7:45, McDonald County until 8:45. Flood advisory in Delaware County, parts of Benton County until 6:30. And then we've also got up in Cedar County, flash flood warning until 7:15, and underneath that, an aerial flood warning until 12:15 today. So certainly a rainy day. Rain clearing out in the Joplin area, though, at 7th and Range Line. It's 71. Most of us starting our day in the 70s, and it's not going to be too bad today. Clouds for most of the day once the rain clears out, and then some isolated storms mainly on the Missouri side along and south of I-44. Nowhere near as hot today as it has been. Highs only pushing about 90, and then overnight, some of those showers, thunderstorms stick with us. Some heavy rain if you get caught underneath one of those storms, and lows in the lower 70s.
Yeah, well, I'm loving the temperatures. Be safe out there for sure, though.
Yeah, a lot of flooding concerns going on because a lot of these storms, they're not moving very quickly. They're just developing and redeveloping over the same areas. And so that's what's leading to some of these flooding concerns. So always remember, as you mentioned earlier, turn around, don't drown. And especially at this hour of the day, you're not going to see the water over the roadway. So if you're commuting and you know of an area that is prone to flooding, maybe consider an alternate route this morning just so you don't put yourself in danger.
Good idea. Well, this morning we are discussing NFL football and a special reunion for former Chiefs safety Jim Kearney. Now, Kearney had noticed his 1969 Super Bowl championship ring went missing after a golf session at the Shoal Creek Golf Course. Kearney says his finger was taped up, which may have caused the ring to slide off, but it was in the parking lot where Dylan Garcia stumbled upon the Chiefs' gold. Garcia held on to it until it was brought back to its legendary owner. Kearney says the ring represents all the hard work that went into winning the title, and he says for Garcia to find it and make sure it was brought back safely goes to show there's plenty of good people out there in the world.
That brings us to our something to talk about, or just in general. Are you excited for football season? It's a simple yes or no, and by golly, look at that. The yeses. Oh, look at that. I love when this thing updates live. 70% of you now say you are absolutely ready for football to return. Make sure you vote. KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Do so in our app and take part in discussion on our Facebook page.
All right.
Look, number went up again. 72% of you now are excited for football season to return.
All right, well, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News, we have why Greenland is being explored by billionaires like Bill Gates.
Plus, 60% of the EU and UK are under drought conditions. We'll have the latest.
You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping World Watch, singer and actress Olivia Newton-John has died. She was 73 years old. According to a statement by Newton-John's husband, the Australian singer died at her Southern California ranch Monday morning. Over the last 30 years, she was treated for several bouts of cancer, most recently at the base of her spine. Four-time Grammy winner rose to fame in 1978 after starring opposite John Travolta in the mega-popular movie musical Grease. Her 1981 track Physical also went on to spend 10 weeks atop the Billboard Hot 100. Throughout her lengthy career, Newton-John sold more than 100 million albums. We'll have more on her story coming up in our 7 o'clock hour. Well, the Pentagon announces $1 billion in security assistance for Ukraine. The package is the largest single drawdown of U.S. arms and equipment since August of 2021. It focuses heavily on ammunition and weapons, including high-mobility artillery rocket systems, 75,000 plus rounds of ammo, C4 explosives, and 50 armored medical treatment vehicles. Russia's also making an announcement Monday saying there will be a temporary halt for U.S. inspections of its nuclear weapon sites under the START treaty. The foreign minister in Moscow says this is because of what it described as unequal access. The new START treaty limits both nations to deploying a set amount of nuclear warheads, as well as 18 annual on-site inspections. 60% of the European Union and the United Kingdom are under drought conditions, and that's according to the European Drought Observatory. Its data shows in a 10-day period last month, 45% of the land was under a drought warning. That means there is a deficit of moisture in the soil. In addition, 15% is under the more severe alert, which means vegetation is stressed. The EU Climate Monitoring Agency, Copernicus, reports July was globally one of the 3 warmest on record. That's a look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. We'll be right back with the news you need to know before you head out the door. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A Southwest Missouri man pleads guilty to abandonment of a corpse. Ray Freiling had faced a number of other charges, including first-degree murder. In 2019, Lawrence County detectives found someone had been using Coyle's car and financial information. They traced that activity to Cole's former roommate, who told detectives that Freiling had shot Cole in the stomach. Deputies searched Freiling's property in Verona and found a fresh burn pile with human remains. For a full breakdown of events, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Authorities in Webb City respond just before 5 yesterday afternoon for reports of a car crashing into the side of a Burger King. Officials say the driver failed to stop, pulling into a parking spot. No one was injured in the crash. And authorities investigate a stabbing in Dunwich, Missouri on Monday morning. Dunwich police officers responded just after 7 a.m. to the 600 block of Patterson. At last report, the male victim was at a hospital in surgery. Investigators are looking for a female person of interest. The police chief tells us the stabbing is an isolated incident. No arrests have been made. And authorities say a truck experienced a flat tire before veering through a guardrail, going down an embankment and crashing. The driver was unable to get out of the door, so he climbed through the windshield. Just a short distance to the west, a crew from Liberty Electric was working and ran to the Joplin crash. The crew used up its extinguishers to help with the fire. Both Reddings Mill Fire and Joplin Fire responded. The driver refused transportation to the hospital. That's a check of today's top headlines. The news you need to know before you head out the door.
All right, a busy start in the weather center today as we've got showers and thunderstorms across the area. We've got some starting to redevelop a little bit across the area. The majority of this activity starting to push to the south. Newton and McDonald counties, flood warnings to start your day, and flood advisories in Delaware County and flood warning situations in Cedar County as well. 7th and Range line, it's starting to clear out in Joplin right now. The skies still a little lightening off in the distance, but otherwise dry and 71 degrees. Most of us starting our day in the 70s, which is not a bad way to get things going on a Tuesday morning. As we go through the day, storms do clear out. Cloudy skies, 86 by noon. Isolated storms mainly on the Missouri side. Highs only pushing the 9 to 90. And then they'll start to clear out. The storms will stick with us, on the Missouri side until late tonight, early tomorrow morning. They'll eventually clear on out of here, though, and after they do, summer returns with temperatures pushing back into the 90s on Wednesday and near 100 by the weekend. More of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Global warming is making Greenland the epicenter for the dire impacts of climate change as the ice there melts.
But an ironic twist, that ice melt is also creating opportunities to find new sources of precious metals needed to power green energy.
Renee Marsh reports.
On the southwest coast of Greenland, some of the world's richest men are funding a massive treasure hunt involving a chopper and a transmitter in hopes of discovering a trove of critical materials capable of powering the green energy transition. A band of billionaires from Jeff Bezos to Michael Bloomberg and Bill Gates is all betting that below the surface of the hills and valleys on Greenland's Disco Island and Nuussuaq Peninsula, there's enough nickel, cobalt, and copper to power hundreds of millions of electric vehicles.
So we're looking for a deposit that will be the first or second, largest, most significant nickel cobalt deposit in the world.
The Billionaire Club is financially backing California startup Cobalt Metals, a mineral exploration company partnered with UK-based Blue Jay Mining to find metals that power renewables and EVs. Blue Jay Mining says Greenland's climate change-induced ice melt is changing the game for sourcing these sought-after metals.
You can see that you are dealing with longer open water windows from sea ice. We have longer periods where we are able to transport ores, metals from Greenland to the global market.
A camp of 30 geologists, geophysicists, cooks, pilots, and mechanics are on site, and CNN is the first media outlet to get video of the activity happening there. They're taking soil samples, flying helicopters with transmitters to measure the electromagnetic field of the subsurface and map the layers of rock below. Artificial intelligence is analyzing the data to pinpoint exactly where to drill next summer. While the vanishing ice opens opportunity for unearthing and transporting these metals, it's also fueling sea level rise and extreme weather, a concern for scientists in eastern Greenland working below the surface of the ice sheet in ice tunnels using heavy machinery to drill and retrieve ice samples. Analysis of the 60,000-year-old ice may yield clues about Greenland's past climate. Concern is also high in northwest Greenland, where CNN joined a team of NASA scientists measuring ice melt on the Arctic Ocean.
We're trying to understand how that melt is happening now, how that ice that used to survive several years in a row is now disappearing.
The disappearing ice highlights a unique dichotomy. Greenland is ground zero for the impact of climate change. But it could also become ground zero for sourcing the metals needed to power the solution to the crisis.
Well, right now, most of these precious metals come from China.
And many companies have a strong interest in diversifying that supply chain. Quick fun fact, Greenland is mostly ice, Iceland is mostly green.
Yes, I knew that.
Isn't that interesting, though? Mm-hmm. I don't know who named those, but they didn't do a very good job of it.
I learned that watching the first Mighty Ducks movie.
All right. Hey, as long as you're learning something, that's all that matters.
Maybe
right?
It was the second one, but anyway, many moons ago.
So if you need some edumacation, go check out the Mighty Ducks movies. We got another check of the forecast and the stormy weather when we come back. All right, showers and thunderstorms across the area. The heaviest rain now confined to Newton and McDonald counties, and that's where we're also dealing with flood warnings this morning as we start our day. Also flood warnings up by Stockton and Stockton Lake, and flood advisories for Delaware County. 7th and Range Line, the sky's starting to stop raining, but they're not really clearing out, nor are they going to do so. 72 in Joplin as we start the day. Most of us starting our day in the 70s. And as we go through this day, the storms this morning will clear out, will be cloudy, highs only topping 90, and then some isolated storms, mainly on the Missouri side, as we head through the evening and overnight hours, with overnight lows dropping back into the 70s. More of the KOAM Morning News after this.
Coming up, Webb City authorities say failure to stop leads to a man crashing into a Burger King.
We're tracking showers and thunderstorms across the area as we start the day, including some flooding concerns, the latest in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Carthage gets ready to kick off the school year, but the district's 61 school buses are in need of drivers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It is 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. I just noticed Tanya's pen lights up. I don't know if you can see it very well, but it lights up. It's really cool. Mm-hmm. I don't have any light up pens. Oh. I'm a little disappointed.
We
now.
might have to fix that.
We'll have to see if we can't track down more light up pens. So, one thing that if you were outside this morning, you had a light up sky for sure, as we've been dealing with showers and thunderstorms across the area. You can see there's some redevelopment starting to take place just northwest of Greenfield or east of Lamar, and some development taking place just to the north of Mount Vernon. So around the Joplin area, the showers are slowly pushing off to the south. And as we head down into Newton and McDonald counties, we're dealing with a flood situation. You can still see some lightning strikes in McDonald County from thunderstorm activity. And here's a look at those flood situations. So if you are in Newton County, your flood warning goes until 7:45. 8:45 for McDonald County. Flood advisories for Delaware and Benton County until 6:30. And then up in Cedar County as well, we've got flood warnings until 7:15 this morning. As we're starting our day, still some distant lightning in the Joplin area, but otherwise it has stopped raining. Starting the day in the 70s, 72 right now. All of us starting in roughly the 70s. Now, southeast Kansas hasn't seen nearly as much rain, so it's a pinch warmer over there. Say Parsons, Neodesha, Independence sitting up there a little bit on the warmer side. As we go through the day, the storms will clear out, but it's going to stay cloudy through most of the day. Afternoon highs only pushing about 90, and then we have some isolated storm chances, mainly on the Missouri side as we head into the evening and overnight hours. So there's a chance for some redevelopment and additional rain, which will not help the flooding situation, but it certainly does help with the drought situation.
All right, and we'll definitely keep an eye on that flooding, because that's something you want to be careful about.
Right.
Turn around, don't drown, for
right.
sure.
And we've been talking about it this morning with it being so dark still, and especially with the cloud cover you saw on our tower cam. It's pretty dark, and it's going to stay pretty dark a little bit later than it usually does because of all the cloud cover. So if you live in one of those areas that's under a flood warning or flood advisory, and you know that the route you usually take is prone to flooding, you want to give yourself extra time and maybe plan an alternate route just so you don't run into that flooding situation. You do not want to try and drive through it. You may not even see the water until you're right on top of it. So do be cautious this morning as you're driving.
All right. Thank you, Chris. Well, a Southwest Missouri man pleads guilty to abandonment of a corpse. Ray Freiling had faced a number of other charges, including first-degree murder. In 2019, Lawrence County detectives found someone had been using Coy Coyle's car and financial information. They traced the activity to Cole's former roommate, who then told detectives that Freiling had shot Cole in the stomach. Deputies searched Freiling's property in Verona and found a fresh burn pile with human remains. And for a full breakdown of events, you can go to our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Authorities in Webb City respond just before 5 Monday afternoon for reports of a car crashing into the side of a Burger King. Officials say the driver had failed to stop pulling into a parking spot. No one was injured in the crash. Authorities investigate a stabbing in Dunwich, Missouri. On Monday morning, Dunwich police officers responded just after 7 a.m. to the 600 block of Patterson. At last report, the male victim was at a hospital in surgery. Investigators are looking for a female person of interest. Police chief tells us the stabbing is an isolated incident. No arrests have been made. Bus drivers are wanted in the Carthage area. The district's 61 school buses are in need of drivers. It's a demanding position as you're not only driving the bus, but you're also looking after several kids. Carthage School District held a hiring fair earlier this summer and was able to gain some applicants for the positions. Jeff Fries, the director of transportation, hopes COVID is not going to make the staffing shortage even worse because the buses need to function daily.
Any place of employment, people get sick, people get hurt, and we have to fulfill those routes. Like the buses have to run, they have to pick up the students. So there's always a need for more drivers.
People who are interested in becoming a bus driver can find more information on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com. Coming up a little later in the show, KOAM's Ayana Hatula takes a closer look at this story. Well, friends and family of Ahmaud Arbery gathered at a Georgia courthouse where a judge handed down sentencing for the racially motivated killing of the 25-year-old black man. Elise Preston has the details.
I feel every shot, every day.
The family of Ahmaud Arbery, along with their attorney and civil rights leader Reverend Jesse Jackson, emerged from a Georgia federal court moments after Travis McMichael received a life sentence plus 10 years for committing a federal hate crime.
Travis chose not to even say that he was sorry. So it really showed the court, it showed the family, it showed everybody who's been saying just for Ahmaud what kind of people really took my son away.
McMichael was already sentenced earlier this year to life without parole in state court for shooting and killing the unarmed 25-year-old jogger.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Travis McMichael, guilty.
As was his father, Gregory McMichael, who chased Arbery through Brunswick, Georgia in 2020 along with his son. The older McMichael also received a second life sentence along with 7 extra years.
We are extremely pleased that the court decided to follow the law, follow the sentencing guidelines, and administer a federal sentence of life.
William Roddy Bryant, who recorded the incident in his truck, also faced a federal life sentence for his hate crime conviction.
That February the 23rd, that sunny hot day, that day they didn't not give him no mercy. They didn't even give him a chance to finish his run. And you asking for mercy?
Federal prosecutors prevailed by showing evidence the killers had a history of racism and acted on it.
There is an understanding that the federal system is more lenient towards prisoners than state systems are. And the argument for the defendants here was that effectively the defendants would be endangered in a state prison.
Attorneys for the McMichaels had asked they be allowed to serve their sentences out in federal prison. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
The man who filmed Ahmaud Arbery's killing was sentenced to 35 years in prison for hate crimes. Arbery's family is still demanding justice against former Glenn County District Attorney Jackie Johnson. Well, if you're ever on the go and you still want to be able to watch our newscast live, just download the KOAM Plus app. It's available free of charge on the app store of your choice. Just search for KOAM Plus. Well, on this date back in 1988, the great one, Wayne Gretzky, gets traded from the Edmonton Oilers to the Los Angeles Kings.
Yeah, age 27, Gretzky was already widely considered the greatest player in hockey history and was the owner of 43 National Hockey League scoring records, and the Oilers had just won their 4th straight Stanley Cup. Nothing short of a sports phenomenon, he was considered a national treasure in his native Canada and was beloved by the citizens of Edmonton. Gretzky defended his decision to relocate to Los Angeles by saying he wanted to help a new franchise win a Stanley Cup. Many fans believed his decision was based on the Great One's recent marriage to American actress Janet Jones. Now, it's worth noting that the Great One also played briefly with the St. Louis Blues before his retirement in 1999.
And Missourians know that for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're dealing with flood situations this morning, and as I mentioned, the storms there's a chance they're going to redevelop this afternoon or early this evening. So you can see on the future track, it stays cloudy for a good chunk of us. And then later this evening, you can see where some additional showers and storms begin to develop. Now, they'll be short-lived, and they'll clear out by tomorrow morning. And as they do so, temperatures will return to summer-like conditions. 95 tomorrow, 95 Thursday, temperatures pushing back to near 100 degrees by the weekend.
All right, well, that's a look at this morning's top stories in weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM and Morning News, one of our favorite people, Kavanaugh Studevin from the Carl Junction Chamber of Commerce, is dropping by the studio to tell us all about Second Tuesday on Main Street.
Plus, federal agents search Mar-a-Lago.
The FBI executes a search warrant at former President Trump's Florida estate. I'm Dan Lieberman with what the agents were looking for.
And for some people, it's not just what you eat that can lead to weight loss and better health, but when you eat it. We're going to explain. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back. Topping Nation Watch this morning, federal agents searched former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago estate in Palm Beach, Florida yesterday. A source close to Trump confirmed that CBS News that he was not at the estate at the time. Dan Lieberman has more on this developing story.
Sources tell CBS News the FBI's Mar-a-Lago search is connected to a Justice Department investigation into how former President Trump handled White House records. The probe is looking into claims by the National Archives that it found 15 boxes of records at Trump's Florida estate earlier this year. Some of the material is said to have been classified. Trump issued a statement saying Mar-a-Lago was, quote, under siege, raided, and occupied by a large group of FBI agents. And it said, after working and cooperating with the relevant government agencies, this unannounced raid on my home was not necessary or appropriate. In the statement, Trump also said agents broke into his safe.
What they need is probable cause that there was a federal crime that was committed and probable cause that the evidence of that crime is where they say it was, in this case at Mar-a-Lago.
The former president was in New York at the time of Monday's FBI search. This video shows him leaving Trump Tower. This morning, the scene here outside the luxury Fifth Avenue building is relatively quiet. Last night, Trump's son Eric spoke out about the search.
This came from one place and one building, and that is the White House in Washington, D.C. They want to attack a guy who they view as his greatest threat, is Biden's greatest threat.
A senior White House source says the Biden White House was given no advance notice of the search. Several investigations into the former president are known to be underway, while sources tell CBS the warrant has nothing to do with the January 6th committee. Dan Lieberman, CBS News, New York.
In February, the National Archives asked the Justice Department to investigate Trump's handling of White House records. The National Archives said some of the documents Trump turned over to them had been ripped up and taped back together. And that's a look at today's top national stories. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to the KOAM Morning News. Today in the studio, we have Kavanaugh Studevin. She's from the Carl Junction Chamber of Commerce. Now, we're going to be talking about Second Tuesday, but there was something that the last time you were here you were talking about.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that and what's happened since the last time you visited.
Yeah, so last time I was here, I was trying to rally as many votes as possible for the Small Town Showcase. We in Carl Junction wanted to be in the top 5 to win the spotlight, and we won.
All right.
Which is great, yeah. So we were actually in second place out of 41 communities in the state of Missouri. We got second place.
Second place. Now that's impressive. So
It's
I mean,
very exciting.
definitely rallied the votes. So now what happens from here for that?
Yeah, so from there, they will bring a film crew in and sort of shoot a marketing video about Carl Junction. Why is this area really? Because I really think it is a regional effort. And why Carl Junction's so special. Why do you want to live there? And our businesses and our Bluegrass Festival and all of those things. We will also be a part of a podcast. We'll be in their annual publication, and then they'll talk about Carl Junction at their little banquet gala. So it is, we really are going to get big exposure just for our little area, and we are the only one in Southwest Missouri. I know there was one up in Kansas City that had one, down in the Ozarks and the Boot Hill, up towards St. Louis. So we're in our own little area, and it's great to announce that because of everyone and because of your votes, we were able to get a top 5 spot.
Yeah, and number 2 at that.
Number
so I mean,
2.
that's not bad. Like you said, out of 41 communities, that's a pretty impressive take.
Yeah.
So, and of course, I mean, Carl Junction is a great smaller community with that big city connection. You don't have to travel very far to get what you need.
No.
And anything else you need is right there in the city. Plus, like you mentioned, the Bluegrass Festival and other events that you have,
Yeah.
which includes Second Tuesday.
Which is tonight. The rain go away. And we're doing Retro Night. It is our final Second Tuesday of this year. So this is the last chance to come out and experience it. We always have a ton of fun. We love our themes. So Mid-Missouri Bank Residential Lending, Sean Parks is actually our sponsor, so we couldn't have done it without him, but we will do a retro night. There's specifically a business that is giving away Game Boys. Game Boys.
All right.
I
See,
know.
Okay, so for me with the kids, that's an even bigger reason to come up.
So there will be vendors that are going to be doing some back to school shopping, so you can shop local at some of those boutiques, getting ready for the school season. There's a lot of giveaways, a lot of chances to win prizes like Game Boys. There'll be live music. There'll be bounce houses. We'll do VR demos with Pennington Station. If you've ever done the video game virtual reality, we'll be inside our office. Food trucks. There's just a lot happening on Main Street tonight. It starts at 4:30.
All right. Now, I've been talking about the forecast, and there may be some rain around that time. If there is, are there alternate plans, or does it depend on how much rain is falling?
I think it just depends on how much rain is falling. We are thankfully in front of our chamber office, so we also have a couple other buildings. People can go inside, but there will be no rain. No rain.
I'm going to work on it.
No
I'll try and
rain.
keep it down on the Joplin side and away from Carl Junction. So.
Please, don't forget where we are, but between 4:30 and 7:30 tonight. Hopefully it is, I think, going to be a lot cooler. So that will be nice because it's been hot this summer. So just a lot of fun. It's a lot of family fun too. There's always something for every age.
And what was the inspiration for Second Tuesday? What got you guys thinking about this and saying, you know what, this is something we need to do?
I really wanted to do something to bring people to our community. People maybe, from the surrounding area, like you said, we are tucked off in our own little corner, but we're so close to everything. We're so close to Joplin. A lot of times you don't even realize that you've left Joplin or Webb City and you're in Carl Junction and vice versa.
Right.
We have so much to offer with our parks. The Ruby Jack Trail goes through there. We have our businesses and our restaurants. And so I thought about, what is an event that we can do to bring people to our city? A lot of the surrounding areas around us have Food Truck Friday. They've got Third Thursday. And so I wanted Carl Junction to have something of their own besides the Bluegrass Festival, which everyone knows us for.
And of course, and that's a big
And
festival
it's
all
coming
on
up.
its own. So,
I know,
yeah.
been a little over a month. But Second Tuesday, we're always, as a Chamber of Commerce, we're always looking for ways to bring people to our community to experience it. And, and it helps that we're so close to everything.
Yeah. For those in the neighboring communities, you don't have to travel very far to be able to experience this.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Kavanaugh, thank you so much. We've got Second Tuesday tonight, 4:30. Food trucks, bounce houses, live music, games, vendors, and she mentioned prizes.
Prizes, Game Boys.
Game Boy prizes, which you cannot go wrong with. So, well, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you make it out tonight, rain or shine, and we'll do what we can to keep it dry. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, obese people who restricted their calorie intake and ate within a 12-hour window lost weight and fat, as well as lowered their blood pressure, heart rate, glucose, and insulin levels. And that's according to a study in JAMA. University of Alabama researchers gave 90 study participants weight loss counseling and caloric restrictions for 3.5 months. Those in the group who ate whenever they wanted did not see the same health benefits as those who only ate between 7 a.m. and 3 p.m. Exposure to the man-made chemical PFOs may increase the risk of liver cancer. That's according to California researchers. PFOs are in many household items, including fabrics, cleaning products, and carpets. The chemical breaks down so it can accumulate in human tissue like the liver. The study tracked 200,000 people, and those with the highest levels of PFOs in their blood were 4.5 times more likely to develop liver cancer than those with the lowest levels of PFOs. In states where recreational cannabis is legal, 37% fewer people are being poisoned by synthetic cannabinoids. That's according to a study from Washington State University. Common names for synthetic cannabinoids are K2, spice, and AK-47. They're not actually cannabis, are highly toxic, and can lead to severe impairment or death. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
All right, so we are tracking showers and thunderstorms slowly starting to make their way out of the area as they push off to the south and to the southeast. Boy, we had a stormy start to the day, plenty of lightning as well. Still see a few lingering showers around the Joplin area, Carthage area. Now down in Newton and McDonald County, underneath the rain, you can see the green here, and those are flood warnings for Newton and McDonald County because of how much rain you already have seen, and this is very slowly moving out of here, which means you're getting even more rain than you need. And in fact, this little green spot here, 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts yesterday with some of the storms that we saw. We also have flood advisories in Delaware County, flood warnings up in Cedar County as well. The sun trying to peek out at 7th and Range Line, but as you can see, we are pretty well socked in with clouds, and it's going to stay that way through most of the day. 72 in Joplin right now. Most of us in the lower 70s, except for further west into portions of southeast Kansas, where you have not seen the rain. It is a bit warmer, which also means today you'll be a bit warmer than most of us. Afternoon highs reaching about 90. Even in southeast Kansas, it's not going to be too bad. Isolated storms will then build in later this evening, and then they'll clear out late tonight, early tomorrow morning, and these will be mostly on the Missouri side, which you can see on the future track. So as we head through the afternoon, the clouds just stick around with us, and then we have some of those storms developing right along I-44, hanging out and moving south. And on the 7-day, once these storms clear out by tomorrow morning, 95 for a high tomorrow, as well as Thursday. And as we head into the weekend, temperatures reaching right back up into the 100s again. We've got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Coming up, Webb City authorities say failure to stop leads to a man crashing into a Burger King.
Showers and thunderstorms to start the day, but as you can see, they're slowly making their way out of here. We'll talk about the storm chances and what they're going to do in the Skywatch Weather Center.
And Carthage gets ready to kick off the school year, but the district's 61 school buses are in need of drivers.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's now 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach.
I'm Chris Warner. We were just discussing the dangers of purses. Tanya's apparently cracked her phone. That's no good. See, I was working on my brother's doorbell, and I had the screwdriver in my pocket because I was swapping things out, and it was just convenient. It ended up tearing off the lock button on my key fob for my car.
Oh, no.
Or the unlock button. So, like, the most used button is the one that it took off. So, I mean, my fingers are small enough I can wedge them down in there and press the button still, but it still stinks. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And they're like $80 to get another one. I'm like, let me think about that.
That's a cheap
now I just
one.
keep
Yeah.
jamming my pinky down in there. Yeah, and that's the thing. That's one of the cheaper type, and that's $80. And by the way, the only place I could find, according to Chevy's website, because I have a Chevy vehicle, the only place that actually sells them locally is J. Hatfield in Columbus.
Really?
The other dealerships around the area, according to Chevy's website, do not sell them, do not have them readily available. So I'm like, great. Like, not only that, but I'm going to have to drive in order to go get it. Not like Columbus is a drive, but...
Yeah, it's like 7 miles from here.
Well, from here, but from home, it's a little more than 7 miles. But it's just that, you know, gas prices, of course, are not very great. And that's why key fob is on the low end of the priority list right now.
Just keep using that little, use your pinky.
I just keep sticking it down in there. I'm like, there you go, that works. It unlocks the car. That's all it needs to do. If you are outside unlocking your car this morning, you may have woken up to some flashes of lightning and some rumbles of thunder. Thunderstorms rolled through the area. You see, we've still got a little cell just to the east of Joplin trying to go. A little bit of activity up by Greenfield. Now, most of the activity still in Newton and McDonald counties, and that little green triangle back there behind all the rain is a flood warning for Newton and McDonald counties. That'll run through most of this morning because of all that heavy rain, which you can see there very clearly. Flood advisories for Delaware County, Benton County are gone. So flood warnings up in Cedar County as well, because we have received quite a bit of rain, and it's more so these storms just sitting there not doing anything. The cloudy skies, like you see right now at 7th and Rangeline, will persist. 72 in Joplin. And across the area where we've seen the rain, it's a little cooler, lower 70s. Parts of southeast Kansas have not seen any rain. We're in the mid-70s, and as we go through the day, temperatures only pushing to about 90 degrees, which isn't bad. And we may see some more isolated thunderstorm development, mainly on the Missouri side and mostly along and south of I-44 later this evening, and they'll clear out by early tomorrow morning, and then it's going to get hot again.
Well, it's good to see that we're finally getting the rain, though.
Yeah, it's rain that we definitely need, and this is a nice little break in the heat that we're seeing, and we'll take whatever rain we can get. But remember, turn around, don't drown. If you are in a flood-warned area, make sure that you're watching out. Look out for water on the road. And if you know your route is prone to flooding, consider taking a different route this morning. Just make sure you get to where you're going safely.
That is very true. All right, thanks, Chris. Well, a dump truck goes through a guardrail just before noon in Joplin yesterday. Authorities say the truck experienced a flat tire before it veered through the guardrail, slid down an embankment, and crashed. The driver was unable to get out the doors, so he climbed through the windshield. And just a short distance to the west, a crew from Liberty Electric was working and ran to the crash. The crew used up its extinguishers to help with the fire, and both Reddings Mill Fire and Joplin Fire responded. The driver refused transportation to the hospital. Authorities in Webb City respond just before 5 Monday afternoon for reports of a car crashing into the side of a Burger King. Officials say the driver failed to stop while pulling into a parking spot. No one was injured in the crash. Well, back to school shopping can be an exciting time when it's looking for new clothes for you and your kid or getting them in the coolest gear. One thing to be cautious of when online shopping for school is scammers. The Better Business Bureau provided tips on things to watch out for. They say some tricks could range from saying supplies are tax-free and to watch out for fake ads.
And what we'll see in the past too is we've seen in many years in the past, unfortunately, like fake emails have been stolen from fake different logos like Walmart, Target, saying that they've got a back to school deal. It's not legitimate. And whenever you're ordering it, you're ordering through this fake website, so you never get the child's things. Suddenly your kid may be late to school with the things, may be really embarrassed about it. It's just not a great feeling.
You can find a full list of back to school tips on our website at KOAMnewsnow.com/education. Well, it's back to school in just 2 weeks for students across the area. Some of them even start this week. However, some school districts still need more bus drivers to meet demand. KOAM's Yana Hadula has more from Carthage.
Any place of employment, people get sick, people get hurt, and we have to fulfill those routes. Like the buses have to run, they have to pick up the students, so there's always a need for more drivers.
Carthage School District is in need of at least 4 or 5 bus drivers who can make an impact on the kids' days.
A bus driver is often the first face that a student sees in the morning. It's the last face a student sees in the evening, and so it's really a great way to be able to make an impact on that student's day.
With only 2 weeks until school starts, the district is trying to train and hire drivers as soon as possible to drive their 52 routes.
You know, that deadline's approaching and we need to be ready to go, so if they're applying for a driver position, they're getting called pretty quickly.
Freeze is hoping COVID doesn't make the staffing shortage even worse once school starts. Goodnight says district-wide hiring events already boosted the number of applications, but more are needed.
We have meetings and we go to conferences, and it's always an area, a topic of discussion. And so we all work together really well to try to come up with some solutions for the problem.
In Carthage, Janna Hautala, KOAM News.
Those interested in becoming a bus driver can find more information on our website at koamnewsnow.com. On this date, back in 1995, the Grateful Dead's legendary guitar player Jerry Garcia passes away. From the early gig as the house band at Ken Kesey's famous acid test, the Dead was a defining part of the San Francisco's burgeoning hippie counterculture scene. They would go on to play at the Monterey Pop Festival in 1967 and at Woodstock in 1969. But as big as they were in the 60s and 70s, the Grateful Dead grew even more popular and successful as the decade they helped to define slipped further into the past. Indeed, during the final decade of Jerry Garcia's life, following his recovery from a 5-day diabetic coma in 1986, the Dead played an average of 100 to 150 live shows per year, frequently to sold-out audiences that included a significant proportion of tie-dye wearing college students who were not yet alive when the Grateful Dead first made their name. Very true. Jerry Garcia was 53 years old.
Certainly just an incredible group overall.
Yeah.
I mean, who's not at least familiar with the Grateful Dead?
Yeah, and then the Deadheads that followed them.
Yeah, and I think that's a great group name. It beats a lot of the current group names. I think Deadheads is a great one.
Oh, yeah.
Something else you want to be familiar with is the KOAM weather app. You can download it in the Apple App Store, Google Play Store. It is free of charge. It's like having the Skywatch weather team in your pocket wherever you go, so make sure that you do download it. And today's a great day to have it because we've had showers and thunderstorms, and they're going to clear out. Cloudy skies later today, and then as we take a look at the future track, the clouds persist for most of us, and then this afternoon and into the overnight, maybe a few more showers and thunderstorms, mainly along and south of I-44, and then they'll clear out by tomorrow morning, and then it's going to get hot again. So enjoy today, because today's high only pushing about 90.
Enjoy it for sure. And that's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. We take a look at a mattress company who's looking to hire someone willing to sleep on the job.
I just think I found my new job. Plus, hard to believe, but it's almost football season, and that made us wonder, are you excited for the return of football? That's our morning talker today. We'll let you weigh in. We'll be right back.
In Consumer Watch this morning, Pfizer says it's buying a hematology company called Global Blood Therapeutics for close to $5.5 billion. Pfizer has been on a recent corporate buying spree, investing some of its COVID-19 vaccine profits. Global Blood Therapeutics makes tablets for treating sickle cell disease, a group of inherited red blood cell disorders. Well, the Federal Trade Commission says it's fining a Utah-based apparel company and its owner more than $211,000 for falsely claiming its imported clothing is made in the U.S. The FTC's complaint, first announced in May, alleged Lions, not sheep products added phony made in the USA labels to goods actually imported from China and other countries. The order calls on the company to stop making the claims unless it can prove otherwise. In a statement to USA Today, the company said it disagrees with the ruling, yet it has no choice but to accept it and move on. Well, here's a job opening you might want to sleep on. Casper, a mattress seller, posted a listing on its website looking to hire someone with exceptional sleeping ability. The The job includes napping in Casper stores as well as in unexpected settings. The part-time gig also calls for someone who does not mind sleeping with a camera on and who can, quote, sleep through anything. Oddly enough, I know someone who does this. That's it for Consumer Watch. Let's go over to Chris for our Something to Talk About.
Yeah, that's definitely not me. I cannot sleep through anything. That's why I love the weather, though, because it'll wake me up 20 miles away. Well, this morning, we're discussing the NFL. Now, a special reunion for former Chief Safety Jim Carney, specifically. Carney noticed his 1969 Super Bowl championship ring missing after a golf session at the Shoal Creek Golf Course. Carney says his finger was taped up, which may have caused the ring to slide off, but it was in the parking lot where Dylan Garcia stumbled upon the Chiefs' gold. Garcia held on to it until it was brought back to its legendary owner. Now, Carney says the ring represents all of the hard work that went into winning the title. He says for Garcia to find it and make sure it was brought back safely goes to show there's plenty of good people out in the world. That brings us to our Something to Talk About, a little more wide-ranging. Are you excited for football to return? Yes or no? 64% of you say yes, you certainly are. 36% of you are saying, not really, it's no big deal. You can vote, KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Do so in the app, and of course take part in discussion on our Facebook page. It's almost time to get your happy birthday on. Birthdays and anniversaries are up next, but first, we're going to head to the Big Apple to see what's happening on CBS Mornings.
I'm Tony DeCopel. Coming up on CBS Mornings, we're going to debut our new series. It's called CBS Mornings Deals. We're going to be looking at summer essentials that make your life a little bit easier. And these are essentials that you can get at extremely low prices. That's coming up on CBS Mornings.
We take this time to honor today's four-state hero, Kyle Herron. Specialist Herron served in the Army from 2004 to 2007. He served with the 275th 2nd Rangers Battalion. During his service, he served as a Ranger. A native of Frontenac, Kansas, we thank you. Today's four-state hero, Kyle Herron.
It is now time to kick off this Tuesday morning with some birthdays and anniversaries, and we begin with Augustus Clark in Columbus, turning 1 year old today. Augustus, a very happy birthday to you, and a very stylish necklace you're wearing.
Yeah, I like that. Pretty cool. And turning 2 years old in Dennis, Kansas, it's time to celebrate for Anna Say. Happy birthday, Anna. Hope you have a great day.
And we've got Kendall Bugney turning 11 years old today, the 1-1. Happy birthday to you, Kendall.
All right. And in Galena, Kansas, Jackson Hawkins celebrates birthday number 15 this year. This is coming with love from Dad, Crystal, Trinity, and Kinsley.
And we've got Matt Smith turning 31. He rides his high horse. Matt Smith, a very happy birthday to you, sir.
All right. In turning 49, time to celebrate for Troy Nadine. All right.
And we've got June Reno over in Iola, Kansas, turning 59 today. June, a very happy birthday to you. Now, if only your birthday was in June, and I'm sure this is the first time somebody's ever mentioned that to you, but a very happy birthday to you, June.
All right, and Mel and Heather Hunt are celebrating 18 years of wedded bliss. Congratulations to the Hunts in Redfield, Kansas.
And we've also got Melba Owens turning 87 over in Columbus, and Stanley and Maxine Ryan celebrating their 63rd wedding anniversary down in Crestline.
All right, if you have a birthday or an anniversary, you can send them to us through our email at birthdayswithans@koamtv.com, or you can log online and send them directly to our website at birthdays@koamnewsnow.com.
And while you're on our website, why don't you go ahead and take time to sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. You get a lot of amazing deals from local vendors. All you have to do is go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club. Well, coming up, KOAM Morning News switches over to Fox 14. We're going to celebrate the life and career of Olivia Newton-John, 73-year-old singer, actress, and cancer research advocate who succumbed to her own battle with cancer, but not before leaving behind a beloved legacy of memorable songs and movie roles. A look back at her life and career on the KOAM Morning News on Fox 14. So, thunderstorms have been a deal. I went ahead and threw the satellite on too, where you can see where you've been socked in with clouds in southeast Kansas, even if you haven't seen any rain. Showers and thunderstorms starting to redevelop out to the east, but these will all slowly start to push off to the east and southeast. You can see where it's starting to clear out a little bit. Joplin area is getting clear, but up by Greenfield, we've got a few additional storms developing, and down by Mount Vernon and south of Monette. This green polygon you see starting to be uncovered as the rain moves out of Newton and McDonald counties. That's because there's a flood warning for Newton and McDonald counties that runs until 7:45 for Newton County and until 8:45 for McDonald County, also dealing with flood warnings in Cedar County. 7th and range, this is what I'm talking about. We're going to be socked in with clouds all day long. I mean, there may be a break or two here or there, but otherwise a cloudy day. 72 in Joplin. Most of us starting the day in the 70s. Mid-70s for those in southeast Kansas that have seen no clouds and no rain. For everybody else, cloudy. Storms may redevelop this evening, mainly along and south of I-44. Temperatures only reaching 90 degrees, so not nearly as hot as it has been. And as we go into the overnight hours, another cool one ahead of us, lower 70s for overnight lows. Any storms we see that develop will eventually kick out of here by tomorrow morning, and then it heats up. Quick, very quick check of the 7-day forecast. You see where it does heat up. 95 tomorrow and Thursday, and as we head into the weekend, temperatures pushing into the 100s. We got more of the KOAM Morning News right after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A Southwest Missouri man pleads guilty to abandonment of a corpse. Ray Freiling had faced multiple other charges, including first-degree murder. 2019 Lawrence County detectives had found someone had been using Coy Coyle's car and financial information. They traced the activity to Cole's former roommate, who then told detectives that Freiling had shot Cole in the stomach. Deputies searched Freiling's property in Verona and found a fresh burn pile with human remains. For a full breakdown of events, you can go to our website at koamnewsnow.com. And this is what happens when you don't have the answer to the question for here or to go. Authorities in Webb City responded just before 5 yesterday afternoon for reports of a car crashing into the side of a Burger King. Authorities say the driver had failed to stop while pulling into a parking spot. No one was injured in the crash. Authorities investigate a stabbing in Dunwich, Missouri on Monday morning. Dunwich police officers responded just after 7 a.m. to the 600 block of Patterson. Last report, they say the male victim was at a hospital in surgery. Investigators are looking for a female person of interest. The police chief tells us the stabbing is an isolated incident. No arrests have been made. And a dump truck goes through a guardrail just before noon yesterday in Joplin. Authorities say the truck experienced a flat tire before it veered through a guardrail, slid down an embankment, and crashed. The driver was unable to get out of the doors, so he climbed through the windshield. Just a short distance to the west, a crew from Liberty Electric was working and ran to the crash. The crew used up its extinguishers to help with the fire, and both Reddings Mill Fire and Joplin Fire responded. The driver refused transportation to the hospital. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Still got some flood warnings, Cedar County, Newton County, and McDonald County as you start your day. The rain will eventually clear out. Under cloudy skies, though, we're not going to warm up much, only pushing to about 90 degrees for an afternoon high. Along and south of I-44, thunderstorm chances build back in this evening, so we may see some additional rain, which could cause additional flooding concerns, especially in Newton and McDonald counties, since that's where some of this rain will be focused. Storms will be isolated to widely scattered as we push through the overnight hours on the Missouri side mostly. Overnight lows in the 70s, and a quick check how that 7-day forecast shows hot. It's going to heat back up. 95 tomorrow and Thursday. Temperatures pushing close to 100 degrees, if not slightly above, through the weekend and the start of next week.
All right, well, coming up today at noon, we're making sizzling home fries in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
And your morning news continues on KOAM with CBS Mornings. Lifestyle expert Elizabeth Werner has some innovative gadgets that will help you sleep better and get ready for that summer road trip. Coming up on the show, items to make your life a little easier, all at exclusively low prices.
All right, or you can switch on over with us on Fox 14, where your only local morning news continues.
We've got a lot of excitement coming up on the Fox 14 morning news. We're also going to be talking about the life and legacy of Olivia Newton-John, who passed away yesterday.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of stuff, though, coming up, and you want to make sure that you turn your channel up to 14.1 and catch us over there starting in just a few minutes. And that's going to wrap it up for us over here. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
And we're going to do it all again today at noon.